Okay, Algebra 1, here we go with another one of these videos. We are talking about lesson 6-3, and it is on around page 299 of your textbook. Forms that we've already talked about. We spent a whole lot of time last week talking about y equals mx plus b. That is called slope-intercept form. M is the slope and b is the y-intercept. When our equation is in that form, we know how to graph it. We automatically know the slope and the y-intercept. There's another form that's important for us to be able to use, and it's called standard form. Standard form is given ax plus by equals c. Now, a, b, and c are just regular numbers. They're integers, which means there's no fractions or decimals, and a is usually positive. An example might be 6x plus 3y equals 11. Okay? You really aren't going to find this form quite as useful as this form when you get ready to graph. But we have to be able to go from one form to another, so we're going to spend today working on this. We're going to use standard form to find our x and y intercepts. So before we get started doing that, I'm just going to remind you of the x and what an intercept is. Real quick, secret word for bonus is snow. Pay attention. There might be another one at the end of the lesson. What I wanted to remind you of was, what is a y-intercept? A y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. And this one crosses the y-axis right here. And I want you to give me that name. That is 0, 3. As your y-intercept. This one crosses at 0, -4. That's its y-intercept. Every single time you find the y-intercept, there's going to be a 0 in place of x. Every single time. Forever. There's going to be a 0 in place of x. So we're going to use that piece of information to go along with our equation. It says find the x and y intercepts. Well, I don't know where they are other than to find the y-intercept. I know that x is going to be 0. So I'm going to plug that into x right there. 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 8. Well, that's 0 plus 4y is 8. Divide by 4. Y is 2. So 0, 2 is my y-intercept. Now, the thing is that the x-intercept works just like the y-intercept. The x-intercept is always going to occur on this x-axis. If we kept going here, it might be right there. And that occurs at -4, 0. X-intercept. The y value is 0. X-intercept is always going to have 0 for a y value. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to use it in place of the y to find the x-intercept. So it's going to say 3x plus 4 times 0 is equal to 8. 3x is equal to 8. Divide by 3. X equals 8 thirds. Well, 8 thirds is a fraction. We can't do anything about it. We can simplify it. We can call it 2 and 2 thirds. But we have our two intercepts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use those intercepts to graph this equation. So I'll draw my grid. 0, 2, right there. Let me move it so you can see it. 0, 2, that is my y-intercept. 0, 2, right there, y-intercept. 2 and 2 thirds, 1, 2, and almost over to 3. 2 and 2 thirds, 0 is my x-intercept. And once I have those two dots, I can connect and make my line. Now I want you to stop the video and I want you to try problem A. Problem A is on your handout right here. I want you to find the x and y intercepts, and I want you to graph. Okay, now the back of this is graph paper. You can use that to graph on. Use these steps. Okay, for the x-intercept, you're going to let y be 0. The y-intercept, you're going to let x be 0. So stop the video and work those problems. Okay, back up and running. Asking you to graph using the intercepts. We just did that. We're going to practice it again. We're going to let x be 0 to find the y-intercept. So when I do that, 2 times 0 plus 3y is 12. 0 plus 3y is 12. Divide by 3, y is 4. Okay, I'm going to let y equal 0 to find the x-intercept. 2x plus 3 times 0 is 12. 2x is 12. X is 6. So up here I had 0, 4. The 0 for the y, the 4 for the 0 for the x, the 4 for the y. Here I have 0 for the x value, 6 for the x value, 0 for the y. I'll get it right in a minute. This is x, this is y. This is x, this is y. Now I'll graph. 0, 4, 6, 0. Okay. So I want you to stop the video and do this practice problem the same way we just did this one. Okay, back at it again. Secret word number 2, Crusader. We're going to graph y equals 7. I'll probably draw my graph wrong, but y equals 7. There's not an x here. It's kind of like having y equals 0x plus 7. So we revert back to using m and b, where we start here at 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And our slope is up 1 over 1, so my slope is 0. So what I have here is a horizontal line. X is equal to negative 4. So that's a vertical line. Where x is negative 4. Just a reminder about those. Okay, the last thing that you're going to be asked to do today, and this is probably the most difficult, so be very careful. You're going to have to rearrange the equation. You're going to have to write it in standard form. At the end of this, it needs to be ax plus by equals c. What that means is you need to get the x moved over in front of the y, and you need to get all the coefficients to be whole numbers. So the very first thing we're going to do is get rid of the fraction. To get rid of the fraction, I'm going to multiply every part by 4 because it's the denominator. 4y equals, when you multiply by 4 here, they cancel. That's what you want to happen. You get 3x plus 8. So 4y plus 3x is equal to 8. So we've gotten rid of the fractions. Now I just need to get it in the right order. So I need to move it over. I want the x moved over here, so I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. And it's going to say negative 3x plus 4y equals 8. That canceled out. You really didn't combine anything there. One had an x, one had a y. Now, for this class this year, that's perfectly fine. But when you get to college algebra, they're going to want this to start out being a positive number. So you're going to divide everything by negative 1, and it's going to say 3x minus 4y is negative 8. This is your standard form. So you are done with this video. You can stop and do your practice problems. Right here. Do these two practice problems.